Well, what a difference one phone call can make, right? Jake Evans was, is, and always will be a Hab. Look at little Jakey. He's so cute. Look at Oh my gosh. I had to have some fun with that. Thank you, Cassandra, for that tweet. Jake Evans has signed an extension, as you have heard the news, for the next 4 years with the Montreal Canadiens, and his cap hit will be $2.85 million, which is a decent little raise from his current cap hit of $1.7 million for the remainder of this season. And it's clear that, as Pierre LeBrun said, and maybe he was hearing his agent too, about the fact that the contract extension talks weren't going well and Jake Evans was likely to go to market. I think they might have fished around, Jake Evans' agent may have fished around the market and saw what the value was. But the fact is, the Montreal Canadiens value Jake Evans more than any other team in the league right now. At least in my opinion, that's how I think Kent Hughes and Jeff Gorton are playing this one, because clearly they didn't make a huge offer in terms of dollars. But as Pierre LeBrun says here, Jake Evans wanted to stay in Montreal. And it's another testament of players that are realizing how much they're enjoying the game, how much they're enjoying the progress of this team. Jake Evans and the Montreal Canadiens, it's all he's known, right? He's been here for, well, I mean, let's look at it. He's been here since 2019-2020 when he made his NHL debut with the Canadiens, played a couple of seasons with the Laval Rocket, and currently Jake is enjoying a pretty decent season. 61 games played, 12 goals, 16 assists, some of those shorthanded. There's been a few shorthanded goals this season specifically for Jake, but 28 points, almost tying his career high of 29 points from the 21-22 season, and if he gets 2 more points, that'll be a career high for Jake Evans this season specifically. But again, it speaks to the culture. It speaks to the Habs' desire to win as a team with this group. Jake Evans, they believe, is now part of this core group in order to proceed forward in this rebuild and start being a regular playoff team. Are they going to be a playoff team right now? We don't know. I think they still need some help. And I don't know. I think it helps at least the culture and the outside picture of the Canadiens by re-signing a player like Jake here, who could have been utilized by a lot of teams. And there was interest for Jake, but clearly the Canadiens valued him more and enough that Jake wanted to stay and felt valued enough to stay and want to play in Montreal. It's a beautiful thing. So I love that. I appreciate that. Just the other night, I saw Jake Evans about, 2 feet away from me. My nephew and I were in line to meet the Canadiens after the Sabres game, as you know. And Jake Evans, we just missed him. And I said to my nephew, there's a good chance he's being traded, so not a big deal that you didn't get his autograph. Well, I'm glad that changed. I am glad that changed, honestly. If you knew the Habs Tonight team and you watched that show in the previous years, we would directly message Jake Evans to come on the show. He was one of the only Habs that would respond and come on the show, including Nick Suzuki. Jake was thrilled to come on the show, and you know what? He's a player that doesn't get a ton of attention. He's not a huge fan favorite, but I think he's becoming more of one, especially this season, seeing his value with the way the Canadiens went on the run that they did, 13-3-1, and Jake was a big part of that. The fans are really appreciative of a player like Jake Evans, a fourth-line player who's not really playing like a fourth-line player. He's used in game situations at the end of a game when they need a face-off win, when they need a defensive zone exit. Jake Evans is there. He's the guy. So that's the value they have in this player. It's clear. It's very, very clear. It's just good vibes all around for this team and where they're going. We're down Kirby Dach. We're down Caden Gooley for the rest of the season. At least that's what the impression is on Caden Gooley. We know that's the truth on Kirby Dach. But the fact is right now the conversation switches to Kent Hughes and Jeff Gorton's trade deadline plans, because Jake Evans was the biggest trade target. He's off the market now. So there's not a ton of value coming back for players like Armia and Savard at this point, other than picks. So what do? You probably keep this roster together. But the fact is, if the Canadiens are serious, and I know the players are, Nick Suzuki specifically, who is, in fact, on a tear right now. Can we talk about Nick Suzuki for 1 second? As per Sportsnet stats, Nick Suzuki has an NHL high 13 points in 5 games since the end of the Four Nations break, 4 goals, 9 assists. He is driving the bus for the Canadiens right now and bringing them into the fight more and more every game. And the fact is, As great as that is, I still believe the Canadiens need help, especially with the injuries to Doc and Caden Cooley. Those are two key pieces that we were hoping would pan out this season. The long-term plan for Kirby Dach will be discussed at another time, but we need a second-line center. Owen Beck's doing a good job right now, but to ask, I think it's asking a lot of Owen Beck to expect that he's going to help drive that second line. I hope he can, and believe me, I'm an Owen Beck supporter. You guys know. But the fact is, I think they still need some more help. So there are some trade pieces. I believe the Canadiens are in the market to make a hockey trade, which in other words means not a trade for prospects and picks. If they're going to make a trade, it's going to be for one of their picks and prospects for a player to come their way. Like the Alex Carrier trade, it was player for player with Justin Barron. But could we see another trade from Kent Hughes and Jeff Gordon to give the Canadiens some measure of help? And I'm praying for healthy players for the rest of the way. But these games are about to get a lot tougher, and you can't, I don't want to say it out loud. I'm just saying the Canadiens need some help. I think they are going to attempt to make a hockey trade, as we've also heard from Pierre LeBrun and others. That's the kind of trade that they're interested in right now if they're going to add before the trade deadline. The fact that we're even having this conversation is very nice. It's exciting. I like it a lot. So leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think of the Jake Evans extension. Let me know what you think about the trade market and whether the Canadiens can and should add, because I think they have to if they're going to seriously give themselves a chance to make the playoffs. I think it's a necessity, as long as it's not going to cost them the future, which I know they're not going to do, but they have a lot of picks. They got a lot of picks still. So I think they need help. You tell me what you think, and we'll see you guys real soon. Go Habs, go.